I told my team, if we schedule more patients in 2019 than we did in 2018, you will not work here. They achieved that ceiling 5 years out of school. I'm not going to keep somebody another 10, 15, 20 years and have them make the same amount of money. Okay. So for me, I have to create avenues for them to earn the practice more so that they can earn more themselves. My message to dentists is get the hell out of the way. Let your people be unbelievable people, right? And don't limit their ceiling of what they can do. And I think what happens is we get this degree, this RDH, CDA, DDS, or whatever it may be, and that degree limits our mind about where we are in the practice.
Get ready for your unofficial dental hygiene podcast. These are the tales of two hygienists, one East Coast RDH and one West Coast hygienist. Listen as they tackle the profession of dental hygiene with humor and enthusiasm. Now, please join Michelle Strange and Andrew Johnston as they tell you a tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists. This is episode number 163, and this is Andrew.
And this is Michelle. Hello, welcome back. It's been a second since you and I recorded together.
Yeah, this feels very weird. I think there was a Hong Kong trip in between. You did New York and something else in between. And
something else, yeah. We have been all over. I was able to attend an Airway Advocates course. I co-hosted a course here in Charleston. Yeah, it's been busy, been so busy. And this week starts another round of trade shows. So I'm gone. So if anybody's going to the AO in DC, the Townie in Scottsdale, or WSP in Palm Desert, come find me.
Yeah, you should. We had a lot of people come up to us in midwinter, and that was kind of fun. So I feel like maybe people are realizing we're more approachable than they previously thought.
Exactly. So we're not so scary. And yeah, you probably got a lot of people. I was so busy, crazy busy at midwinter. I did launch another little business with Dr. Tony Stefanu, which is Trivia Dent. And we're excited about that. And Andrew helped us host that a little bit.
I was like the sound guy in the background, moving speakers all around while they're trying to be professional. So sorry for the distraction. I was like, hey, let's move this real quick. Oh, too loud. Oh, too quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what we're used to, right?
Yeah,
being
exactly.
The producers of a lot of things. Yeah, so it's been a busy time, but we've had lots of great listener feedback. I think Dr. Nolan's podcast was polarizing to many, and we are probably going to bring him back on because you guys
we still get stuff.
Loved him, and you were real frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like all over the place, and yeah, so. Yeah, we definitely have to have him back on just for that. But I mean, and then, the other episodes, like everyone's just been loving things. And we can read two quick reviews. We have a very awesome episode for you guys today, Dr. Tarun Agarwal. And so we're going to get to that, but we would be remiss if we didn't read a couple of things.
So Christy, who has been listening to the podcast for a little bit now, we really love y'all's feedback. Seriously, guys. She just said, thank you so much for your amazing podcast. I have about an hour commute on Fridays, and I fill the time by listening to you and trying to glean as much information as I can. I don't enjoy reading research articles like Michelle does. So this is a great way for me to get new information and be reminded of old info. I absolutely love episodes 157 and 158. I have listened to them so much. If they were cassette tapes, they would be warped by now. That's all. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm sure it isn't easy to make a successful podcast. You are appreciated.
Wow. Well, we appreciate you. Gosh. And, we appreciate the reference to cassette tapes because I don't know how many of our listeners actually would get the warped reference. But yeah, that's good.
I keep saying videotaping.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I'm like, I am dating myself so much. I'm like, I'm filming or videotaping today. And they're like, that's not how that works anymore. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so dated.
Do you remember having to use like the pencil eraser to like rewind some of the tape on your cassette tape and like unwind it?
For sure.
Like yeah. So that's more what I think about.
If it got pulled out, and it got crinkled or something.
Yeah. then make a little like scratchy noise. Yeah, anyways.
All right. So what else do you got on iTunes?
So Lucy, our friend Lucy, we see her sometimes on the.
I love Lucy.
Yeah. 5-star review. It says, Andrew, Michelle, you know I love your podcast. Yes, we do know that. Thank you very much. And we love you. She said, I spent 6 hours in the car yesterday and listened to 4 podcasts and a few tipisodes. Yipes. I do not know how anyone can think dental hygiene is boring when there is so much exciting information to learn. Thank you for having such diverse content and guests. So thank you, Lucy. That was nice.
Yes, that is nice. You know what I've been reading a lot lately on forums, you know, I feel like it's ebbs and flows, but people are getting real jaded, real frustrated.
Yeah.
And even talking out, like talking family members out of going to hygiene school. And I really hate that. I really do.
I feel like we see this like right before graduation every year, which is really, really unsettling for me. And I'm like, man, don't discourage our new graduates. And that's maybe because those new graduates are like feeling burnt out and ask the question and then everyone chimes in. So, boo.
Yeah.
It's a great profession, everyone.
It is. But it is what you make it. And I don't say that flippantly because I have a ton of money in student loans and I have worked with some great and some worse. And I have absolutely been that person that was like, why did I do this? I should have gone to be a nurse. And it lasted for like 2 months. And then I got myself out of it and found some CE courses that really kind of lit a fire in me. But, you know, I think if I didn't have all the little things and wasn't constantly learning, I would feel like that too. So it's just about like your viewpoint, your perspective, and what you put back into it is what you get out of it.
Well, Tarun has some very interesting perspectives himself on what we are doing or what we are not doing, but should be doing. So you guys are going to, Dr. Agarwal.
He's a teddy bear. He really...
Just sit through it till the very end, because I promise you'll be very rewarded.
It turns
by
around.
His thoughts at the end of it. And he's such an advocate for this profession. He really loves it. He's not just a naysayer. So give him a chance and enjoy this interview.
Many of you know Zirc as a company with all the great colorful ways to keep the dental office organized. Not only does Zirc offer a large range of color-coding dental products, Zirc is also home to several unique and innovative products like the pink petal. That pink petal is so cool. It just slides onto your saliva ejector and it really just creates this hands-free suction, but with no additional attachments required. Just put the pink petal on the suction you already have, bend the suction like a U, and then place it between the cheek and the teeth. And the pink petal will hold the saliva ejector right where you need it, you know, the back corners of the patient's mouth. This is a must try if you are doing any ultrasonic or air powder polishing procedures. For you awesome ATOF listeners, Zirc has a $5 off promo code when you purchase a 50-pack of the pink petal. Use the code TALEPINK, TALEPINK, before March 31st to get your $5 off. You can also head over to Zirc.com and click Isolation under their product tab, and you can watch a video of the pink petal in action. Hope you enjoy this code from Zirc.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's time for the interview.
Oh, but I had something else to say.
We need to let the experts talk now.
Fine.
Well, let's just jump right in. T-Bone asked us to be on. This is Tarun Agarwal. Yep. He decided he wants to be on. He begged us to be on because he wants to talk about hygienists and the modern era.
I think hygienists are going to have to change because, and I was having this conversation with Rachel, is that if you don't change, your profession is going to have a slow death. And it might be accelerated based on what's going on. But we're going to have to change. Your role in the office is massively different. Technology is part of that. A greater focus on business and practices is a part of that. I'll argue till the day I die that my hygienist is one of the most important team members in my office. 60 to 70% of our dentistry comes out of his or her room. In our case, it's a her. And so it's unbelievably important. But what we're asking of our hygienists today is massively different than what I was asking for or expecting of my hygienist 18 years ago.
So you think they need to evolve within the practice? And I guess I would like to see evolution in the practice, but also with state practice acts so that we have more ability.
Yeah. So you're talking to the wrong, you're preaching to the choir. And I'm in a state in North Carolina where hygienists can't do jack crap.
I know.
Right.
Like, I mean, they literally can't do bleep shit, right? I mean, they can't do lasers.
Did you just bleep the jack part of that phrase?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Good for you.
But they can't do lasers. They can't.
You can't do anesthesia, which is the most
anesthesia,
basic.
which is unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
And they
have like 2 hygienists per doctor.
Listen, I think the law should be 1 per doctor, but that's just me, and we can talk about that as well.
Let's argue about that one.
Yeah. Well, I think from a business side of things, and we can have that conversation. Absolutely, I'm open to having anything. Okay, they can't even see patients without the dentist in the building.
I know it's insane.
And so so for example, if I had to literally I had an emergency, my practice shuts down.
Yeah.
Those poor patients that have taken time off of work.
For sure.
It's suddenly literally I've had a situation where my son's allergic to nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And my wife happens to be a physician and she practices next door to me. We practice our building is us together. We practice together and my son ingested a nut at school and we both had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And literally
the building shuts down.
Everything shuts down. The patient that's getting their teeth cleaned is leaving with half their teeth clean legally. Now, whether you stretch those rules or not,
right.
And to me, that's fundamentally, it's idiotic.
It's
actually.
stupid.
It's idiotic.
Because I guess where I was going with that, because Andrew has that in his practice where he does restore.
What state are you in, Andrew?
Washington State.
Oh, you guys are essentially mini dentists almost.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. And what state are you in, Michelle?
I'm in South Carolina.
Okay.
So
we're in South Carolina.
Charleston.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Next time I go to Kiowa, we should hook up.
Oh my God, yeah. Actually, my friend can get really good golfing out there.
Yeah,
so.
we play the ocean course only. Yeah.
That's awful. I'm not going to go hack up that pretty course. It's just, I'll sit on the beverage cart. So he actually does a lot. So I think the evolution is dependent upon where you are. Because what's the point of someone in North Carolina even trying to understand a lot of things when they can't even evolve within their own practice? Whereas he understands the business side of it. They are making money. They're actually your production
producing.
They're actually producing. And
so you guys are
production numbers.
You guys do restorative in the state of Washington.
We don't prep, but we fill.
So F does in a sense.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the evolution is. I think you're right.
I don't disagree with that, by the way, but I don't think that's the best use of a hygienist.
Tell me what you think is the best use.
Getting patients to say yes.
How about just getting patient healthy?
Because, it
can go hand in hand, though.
So, but I got to be very careful, okay? So here's the deal with me. I'm always going to be honest, and I'll own my mistakes, okay? Remember yesterday I talked about owning your space, and I'll own my mistakes. But to me why should I pay a hygienist to do something that an EFTA can do?
Right.
So to me, there should be something greater for you as a quote unquote more educated human being. There should be something greater for you. So to me, in that situation, in my opinion, you're lowering yourself to something that somebody with essentially no college education can do.
When you're talking about that, you're talking about just if my work schedule is just placing fillings all day long, is what you're saying.
I'm just saying, generally speaking, as a pure business owner, in delegation, I would say, why would I ever want my hygienist to do that?
Right.
If I could get an assistant to do that legally, depending on the state you're in.
So if you had an ideal world where hygienists were just willing to step up, right? What would they be doing in your practice?
Yeah. So I've taken my number one hygienist out of hygiene.
And what does she do now?
She's now my treatment coordinator.
Okay.
And then the concept there was she's the right personality and she gets paid as a hygienist or better. She has the right personality. She knows my patients. She knows me. She's been treatment planning with me. She's been following up with me. She's been seeing my dentistry for years. She understands what's going on. So I said to her, I was thinking to myself, at some point, you are going to hit a ceiling of what you can make as a hygienist.
For sure.
Right.
Especially in North Carolina.
For sure.
Okay. So I'm like, listen, just take a step back. Get out of your comfort zone. Let's try something different. And let's experiment. It may not work. In the worst case, now you can go back to being a hygienist.
Right.
Easily.
Right.
Okay. So to me, that's when I'm talking about the hygienist being different, I'm not even speaking the language that you guys are speaking about, anesthetic and all of those things, because that's dependent on other people to control my success.
Yeah.
Right. That's depending on the old white boys or the state boards or, the 1950s people changing their mind. And we're literally just waiting for them to die off.
Yeah. I was going to say, when are they going to die off already?
So to me, why would I hold my entire profession back based on something that I truly can't control.
Right.
You can lobby till you're blue in the face. You're not going to change these people's minds. Okay.
Right.
So instead, let's expand our skill set and make us invaluable, indispensable to a practice.
Have you listened to our podcast?
I have not. I don't listen to any podcast.
That's fine. Because
Even my own, by the way. And I have my own podcast.
We do talk a lot about that. Like, what are the other ways that hygienists can expand their clinical? It's not just scaling. It's not just polishing. It's airway assessment and myofunctional.
Necessarily.
Yes.
It's
the business, being an entrepreneur.
But I come from that. I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay? I come from that.
I interrupted you, I think.
That's okay. Perfect. We'll get along. But I come from that from a different perspective. Again, the things you're talking about, to me, some of those things are going to be dependent on other people determining that success for you. Like, in other words, myofunctional therapy. So now, to me, that's going to be, well, I have to be in a practice that's going to be willing to let me do that.
Depends on where you are, though, because in Washington, they're opening up their own practices and doing it via Skype.
Well, that's one option. Sure.
So I think that's where for me, and being in the South and being in a state that isn't as
you're a little more progressive. You guys can do anesthesia, correct?
But only an infiltration. It's such bullshit. Like, all the states that can actually give anesthesia, New York and South Carolina, can only give infiltration.
That's funny. That works 90% of the time.
I mean, quote unquote, like, oopsie, was that a block? I inserted it a little deeper than I should. Oh, well, no, it's a
That's
block
what she
now.
said.
How did you not set yourself up for that?
I know. I mean, all of dentistry is just setting yourself up for sexual innuendo, really, really.
And human nature is that way.
Exactly. So my point, or my thought when you say that to me, is that depending on where I am, like, God, you look at California or Colorado, like, they're actually setting up their own practices and being business people and working in a referring interprofessional type of environment.
And my argument be, listen, that's going to represent 5% of your profession of people that even want to do that.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
So my goal is to move the needle for the dentist. Okay, because 99% of practice is going to be owned by the dentist. So what can I, again, my perspective is, how do I get dentists to see that some of these changes we've made in hygiene, like going to one hygienist per doctor, okay, how are these changes positively impacting the patient experience, the team experience, and our clinical outcomes? And it's been amazing for us, because I don't like checking 2 hygienists per hour. And so this argument, when I hear hygienists say, why are we limited to only 2? I'm like, please, somebody limit it even more.
Yeah, because I don't want to. I love the hurry up to wait. Like, yeah, and that's not fun for a hygienist.
But doesn't only having one hygienist, though, severely limit the production coming out of your hygiene department?
Depending on what you're trying to produce.
Define production out of a hygiene department.
So I guess any restorative that ends up being caught on a recall. Yeah. So, for example, if you've done so well that you've ended up getting your patients so healthy that you're doing less and less restorative work, wouldn't you want 2 hygiene chairs? Because one of the odds are you're going to have more.
Sure, that's one. Look, there's multiple business models. Okay?
Sure.
So that's a business model. My business model is to do that. Now I have to have more infrastructure, more chairs, all these things that cost. So what if I'm in a place that's 4 operatories? And then now I want to add another hygienist. Now I got to go get another place.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So to me, that's not an answer, at least in my mindset. Right. So to me, my argument would be, well, then, okay, so we've done all the restorative dentistry. Well, are there missing teeth? Are there airway challenges? Are there orthodontic challenges? Are there soft tissue challenges? What are the challenges that are going on? And how, as a hygienist, can you support or push the dentist to implement those things? And the real question is I believe that most dentists don't do these things because they don't walk into the room and just have to say yes.
Yeah.
So if it's set up for me and I just have to say yes, I'll go learn how to do soft tissue grafting. I'll go learn how to do these things. And to me, that's where a hygienist becomes invaluable, because you control your destiny. You become unbelievably desirable. And if and when your location of your profession changes, you can have pick and choose of where you want to be.
Yeah.
And to me, that should be the goal for any human being, whether hygienist, assistant, front office person, dentist. It doesn't mean you want to be able to call your own shots. And that to me doesn't mean owning your business. It just means putting yourself in the right environment.
Honestly, tell me that. So how did your number one hygienist end up getting there? Did you end up investing into the education to get her to know all of the things that's going to make her a great treatment coordinator? Or did she just do it on her own? Was she that person that do it.
But see, we create a culture in our office where the education is nonstop. And the education is us one-on-one. So, for example, here, I'll show you a picture. This is my hygienist. I just posted this on my Instagram account. So this is me and my hygienist. And at least 3 times a week, we sit down, and she's now my treatment coordinator. We're reviewing cases. Hey, here's the patient we saw. Here's the things. Here's where, I would have loved if we had brought this up. And it's a two-way street. Hey, I would have loved if you didn't unsell this, or if you didn't undermine me here, or if you had spent more emphasis on this before that. And so to me, it's part of creating that culture there. But yes, we invest in the education, that they want.
Right.
As long as it meets what the practice's functions and goals are.
So I think what I'm hearing from you, because my pushback with practices that I've been in is let me have that. But people come in, they sit down like, oh, looks great. See you in 6 months. And I'm like, I will fight you in the back today.
You're like, I just sold an implant to this person.
Yes, they were ready. They were accepting. And now you just came in and said, everything looks great. No scaling and replay, none of those things. And I literally want to fight you outside at 5 o'clock.
So where I trying to help you guys out is my message to dentists is get the hell out of the way.
Right.
Let your people be unbelievable people, right? And don't limit their ceiling of what they can do. And I think what happens is we get this degree, this RDH, CDA, DDS, or whatever it may be, and that degree limits our mind about where we are in the practice. So let me go back through my hygienist, where she is now. She does financial arrangements for me. She sets up my cases. She coordinates with the patients. Patients contact her directly. She coordinates with the lab. She makes sure everything's on time. When we go to the surgical center to do our surgery cases, she goes with us. So when the patient goes to sleep, they see her. When the patient wakes up, they see her. She's doing all those things. She's in charge of our hygiene department, making sure that the other hygienists are living up to the culture that we create in the office. Now her income limit is exponential, because now she's not driven on just what the hygiene department produces, but what you can produce for the practice.
For sure. Right.
And to me, that's a way better way to live.
I think a lot of our listeners are doing that role. Yeah. I do think that. I think our listeners are those elite
the hygienists actually listen to podcasts.
Right.
Exactly.
But I think also, I don't know many hygienists. I mean, maybe there's probably a good percent that just want to clock in, clock out. This was I
would
really
argue
good...
that you're off base there. There's a lot that want to.
Oh, but I think if you get them in the early stage when they're clock in, clock out, and then they start to see that there's some changes they can make. They can be a part of a bigger picture, but they can't see that until they get into an office and an environment. So maybe they started they're 18, went into school, got this really good 2-year degree. They're making good money. Their back starts to hurt. Their body starts to ache, all those things, and they want more. But they have never literally been shown more.
Well, my argument means they haven't taken the opportunity to see more.
But how do you see that?
There's podcasts, there's YouTube, there's the Google, there's what other people are doing. Stop just going to your RDH society meeting.
Yet he pointed in that direction, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Why? No, you don't. You don't. You either have it in yourself to self-point yourself in that direction, or you don't. You control your destiny.
I don't think that most people are like that.
Podunk Town, whatever, they want more.
The Google
more.
And the YouTube and the podcast app exist everywhere in the world.
So they find the information, and then how do they actually do it?
Okay, well that's
the next step.
That's the next step, right? So then the question is hey, I want to do this. That opportunity doesn't exist in the environment that I'm in.
Right.
Now, are we willing to make that hard decision? And then maybe the non-sensitive side of me or the inappropriate side of me is like, well, most hygienists are female and they probably don't necessarily control exactly where they live because there's a bigger picture involved in that,
Right.
Yeah. So and that is the situation with a lot. There is a bigger picture for a lot of them. But I do think, again, all of our listeners are probably the most engaged elite of them all.
Of course.
And they are hearing these things and wanting to do more airway, and they're wanting to do all the extra stuff out there. But it's easy to say that because we got a comment the other day about somebody saying the CE is during business hours. Yeah. I'm literally not allowed to cancel a patient in a day. My doctor would lose their mind, or the office manager would literally,
because they didn't make their quota for that day.
Yeah, their production and all these things. So how am I going to pay my bills, see my patients, and get educated for these very specific courses that aren't on a podcast or what, I think that I love the message of it. It's the implementation that is a little like, what the fuck do I do? Like,
no, I get it. Well, the easy answer for me to say, and not being in that position myself, is to say, put yourself in that environment.
Right. Yeah. And I think the real motivated people that don't feel stuck, aren't single moms, aren't all those things, probably are. Like both he and I have done that, right? But we have a little bit more flexibility with our lives than some.
Yeah. My bottom line is hygiene is more than scaling. Scaling is the scaling is the bare minimum of what you do.
Absolutely.
And so I put hardly any focus on measuring our perio numbers, because to me that is the bare minimum of what we do. For me, a hygienist is so much more. If the patient has perio, just take care of it, right? Whether you code it as perio, don't code it as perio. And Rachel and I had this argument.
I was going to say, please code it as perio. Don't listen to him.
No, listen. Again, and I'm upfront that, look, that's just my way of doing things, right? And Rachel and I had the argument about whether that's legal, illegal, ethical, non-ethical, all of those things. But to me, it's like my hygienists are taking iTero scans in all our patients now, so that we can improve our case acceptance for aligner therapy, so we can show our patients wear and tear on their teeth, and we can track these things. And to me, that's what I'm just telling you from a dentist side of things. I would argue that there are more dentists that want this, but they don't see hygienists saying that they are willing to do this.
So get a new hygienist.
Well, you're telling me more hygienists want to do it, but the dentists aren't willing to let them do it.
And so it goes both ways. Like, if your dentist isn't going to do it, go find a new dentist. But if depending on the area you're in,
there might not be a new
there might
dentist.
not be. And then if you're a dentist that doesn't have a hygienist that wants to raise to that level, then get a new hygienist. Because there are the ones that actually do want, but it's the bad apples sitting in that office for 25 years, and Joanne's been there, and the patients would lose their mind.
I have a firm belief that if you have the same team for a very long time, you have a very complacent team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like there should be it should be like there's this belief that turnover is bad, or that if you have turnover, there's something wrong. To me, there should be turnover on an annual or biannual basis.
Or progression.
That might be aggressive, but
progression.
No, but there should be. If you're a team of 10, you should lose one every couple of years.
Because they've expanded past what they're capable in your office, or why?
Or they're holding people, but they're not moving as fast as everybody else is moving. If the ship is moving so far forward and there's one person that's not, it's just
the anchor is still dragging behind.
You got to cut. You got to move forward. You got to constantly be looking.
And there will never be a point of equilibrium where you have like just a solid team that's always progressing with you?
Probably not.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, because everybody's at a different season of life.
Yeah.
That's true.
And and how about this? There might be a point where I'm the anchor.
And then they got to get rid of you.
Right. No, but truthfully, there may be a point where, in fact, many of your listeners and my listeners too are probably the dentist is the actual anchor. They're surrounded by unbelievable people that would do more and want to do more. But the dentist is either too short-sighted, too living in survival mode economically, or they're too male chauvinistic to believe that people around them can, I suffered from this. I tell the story. My first 10 years of practice, I did good, but I held myself back because I had the concept that not that I was the smartest person in the room. That's acceptable to egotistically believe that. But I had the belief that I was the only smart person in the room. Okay. And so that is when I got past that and made that realization is when things just started clicking at an unbelievable pace.
So let me ask you, if that is the case where the dentist is being the anchor, right? Like they're just dragging everybody, how can a motivated team have a conversation with them? Like, what should they appeal to? The financial side, the emotional side? Like, how do you kick them in the ass and get it going?
Yeah. So sometimes you have to sit down as a group and say, hey, here's how we feel. This is what's going on.
Right.
Your chances are you're going to lose all of us.
Right.
Or a significant percentage of us. We've got to do something different. And
if they're complacent, would they even care that they?
Dentist?
I'll hire someone else then.
Sure, great. Then you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
I mean, look. At the end of the day, you see, the problem is we don't put ourselves out there that this is what we want, and that's why we don't get it. Okay. The truth is, you will not get anything that you don't ask or go for. And so people have to go for it.
Right.
And sometimes that means you got to be uncomfortable. And to me, the easy way of being uncomfortable is to ask permission. Hey, Michelle, would it be okay if we talked about something that I've been feeling lately in the practice?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. I got permission. So I'd like to talk about something you might not like what I have to hear. Is it still okay? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I'm setting the tone of what I'm going to say.
No, and this is actually what I do with my patients. Like, can I have permission to tell you if I see anything in your mouth today?
Of course,
Like,
that's what the hell I'm here for.
Right. And then if they say no, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Maybe you're in a better frame of mind. Maybe you had a real shitty day. Like, maybe your husband has cancer and like, this is a rough week for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to hear it from me, then I'm not going to say it to you this week. Next time I'll see you, let's talk about it again.
It's unbelievable, by the way, the dichotomy of this situation of what we're in. Is you two are telling me that there are hygienists that are being held back by the dentist, and I'm telling you that every dentist that I talk to are telling me they're being held back by their hygienist.
But who's responsible, though, at that point? If you're the business owner, dentists are always responsible.
The business owner is the ultimate leader in the practice. 100%.
Yeah.
But some of them live in fear of asking people to change.
Right.
Again, that's on them, though.
How do you engage? How do you motivate? How do you weed out the bad and then find the good? Because I do believe too, it's also your area, the geography that you're having to deal with. Because if you don't have people that they only get to your education, and I don't mean only because I think CE sometimes outweighs higher education in a lot of ways, but maybe they've only known 2 years education. They are just going to live in their bubble. They're not going to move out of it. Their family's there, all those things.
That's the life you chose.
Yeah, that's the life you chose. So then you go find other people. And I think he and I see this because we do surround ourselves by motivated people. The ubiquity of higher producing hygienists in our world is way better than the.
Sure.
But see, it comes back to this. What is higher producing hygienists mean?
I think that depends on your office. I think that depends on your
metrics of what you're measuring against.
Yeah.
So if it ends up being that, it's a monetary goal, and then that's what you're working towards.
But that monetary goal from what procedures?
That's on you too.
And I think that's exactly. I think that's for me, obviously it's going to be a different group of procedures since I can do restorative. And what value am I adding to the practice by giving me that second column of just fillings? Doctor goes in and preps real quick, and I do everything else. What's that value look like? And what does that look like month to month, and then versus last year's goals? Or for perio is, are you, first of all, I know there's plenty of people that are better speaking about this than I am, but are you at that percentage in your office of hitting 30 or 40% perio, or are you at 2% perio coding?
We're probably in the 5% perio part.
But and for you, I think that there might be something there. I still think that you're probably actually doing the procedures. You're just not coding them properly.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's also the norm. I think that that's different. I think that people, especially hygienists, are like, no, I'm not allowed to do the scaling root planing unless I code it out because of the ethical, legal, whatever.
I'm a path of least resistance person. So to me, is if my hygienist only did $800-900 a day, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I think the upside on perio treatment is much lower than the upside of teaching them how to do airway and Invisalign and complex cases.
I would even argue, though, that drives health of the perio side of life.
Absolutely, it does. It feeds into that.
If you
I'm not saying we're ignoring the perio.
I know, but you're saying you're not concentrating on the perio code of it because you have all these other things. But airway actually drives better perio. If they have good airway, they have.
It's more of a bigger picture overall health.
So you're not looking at the nuances of the coding.
We're treating perio.
Right.
I want everybody to be clear. We're treating perio. We're just not coding because I think, just my opinion, it's a disservice when people are telling you that your practice should be 25 to 30% perio, and we just set up something that's almost impossible to achieve in the vast majority of practices, and we should just go down a path of least resistance.
I think the difference where I would with the verbiage on that is that it's not should, that it is. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Like these people are perio involved. So in theory, that number would be higher, but also, I come from the coding side. I hate insurance. I do. I hate codes. I just want to do the procedure. So I'm kind of in that boat too. But I'm also I read research constantly, and we can't get this interprofessional collaboration with medical unless we start collecting proper data. And the data, when it says 5% of the people, and then your insurance is going to be like, well, of course I'm not going to pay for those procedures. You're not. So how do you progress our insurance to get their shit together and pay for the proper procedures when we aren't collecting the data for them anyway?
Are you guys fee
Because
for
that's
service?
where
You guys do insurance.
We take like 8 PPOs.
I see, and I don't even
do
understand.
you feel like that's one of the reasons why you guys don't fight the coding issue?
No.
Okay.
I think
feel like that's a big obstacle for a lot of people.
It starts with leadership. If I was on my team about perio and the coding of it, we would do unbelievably well with it.
Yeah.
But it starts with leadership, and the leadership with me, I am the problem.
You're looking at the bigger picture of it all.
Yeah, I am the
You
problem.
are the dead weight. So
I'm the dead weight when it comes to perio in our practice.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Okay, what if I ask? So if you kept everything the same, like your big picture, airway, totally important. I think that is actually the way that a lot of offices should practice. But you did code properly. Like the only thing you did was apply the right code to the procedures that you were doing. What would that do for you in your office? Like, would that create contention?
Do you think case acceptance would go down? Your numbers would go down?
Am I charging for perio, or am I charging a pro-fee fee and coding it as perio?
I guess that's
up to your feed, man. Yeah, your fee
Oh,
schedule.
sure.
I guess what is your
Then
question?
you know what? I'll make you happy. I'll code everything as perio and just charge $85 for a pro fee.
So, okay. So what if that happened and you were just literally collecting the data and calling a spade a spade, but you charged it out different?
That's fine. I could do that.
Yeah.
See, I think that's what we want, because people that don't take insurance at all
Yeah.
are not held by the same standards of we have to code out a 4341. We can do whatever we want for these patients. And, it can
And
be like the
I live in
Canadian
that
model.
world, even
Yeah.
though I take PPOs.
Yeah.
We do what's right for the patient. The code just happened to be a damn.
I think that's a great way to
and
practice.
insurance is just a method of payment.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that's a great practice. And honestly, if I were the dentist, I probably would do it. I'd make sure that the right number went on the things. But if the patient couldn't afford it, or their insurance only paid, I would probably do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Just as a quick question, for these patients that are like scaling and replaning type patients, but you're not coding out, is it multiple appointments or is it one appointment that they're getting done? Like, what is your guys' office parameters for that kind of stuff?
It's sad. I don't know. Each hygienist makes the individual decision on what they want. So I don't dictate how much time they schedule.
Yeah.
I taste totally out of that.
Cool.
If you need
That
a patient
sounds great to me.
if you need a patient that needs an hour and 15 minutes schedule, don't come to me and bitch about it. Just schedule hour. I didn't schedule that.
So how do they code that out though? What if they have to come back twice because they
There's
do
a
right
trophy
side,
once and a free trophy the second time. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't care. Dude, you're talking about $85.
Yeah.
In the scheme of things, you're talking about $85.
Oh, I love this so much.
I would totally love working in that. Do you have an office manager?
We have a director of operations that I don't believe in office managers. There's one office manager, and that's me.
Okay.
Okay, so I lead the practice. I don't micromanage necessarily. I lead the practice, and I need implementers around me.
Is there someone micromanaging?
Define micromanaging.
You had an hour and 15 minutes on this patient. You need to get it done in 45 minutes.
No, absolutely. That
Cut it, copy, paste in half.
No. Let me tell you, if that. So I gotta share with you off air my last team meeting of 2018. I told my team, if we schedule more patients in 2019 than we did in 2018, you will not work here.
Wow.
Because
I need to get my license for North Carolina.
Look, but see, and this is come back to the conversation that I wanted to have with you about one hygienist per doctor. Is, to me, maybe I'm not spreading the message properly. This focus on perio to me is so small. It's penny-minded, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because what does a typical hygienist do in a PPO practice? $800 a day. Let's even call it they're unbelievable and they do $1,000 a day. That's $4,000 a week. Let's call it $5,000 a week. That's 2 sleep appliances. So you're going to spend 30 minutes educating a patient about this perio code, and we're going to miss 30% of our patients have airway. That to me is idiotic. It is so small-minded that it's dumb. Okay, and I believe every dentist should graduate their best hygienist from being a hygienist to being a sleep apnea champion.
I would totally be down with that. I think what you're saying is correct, that your philosophy works. It's your message.
Yeah, of course.
That you get stuck on.
No, you're blinded by what people have told us perio should be.
Right.
And I think also.
And people assume that if I say my perio numbers are 5%, that we ignore perio.
Right. And so that's where I think you starting at, like, this is the bigger picture. I do code it this way, but I'm not going to charge for those because I want to look
But
at
I
the
don't
bigger
code it that way. And maybe
Right.
that's what we should change.
Yeah, and that would be it. Charge it whatever you want to charge it with, but code it properly so then people get off of that, dead horse. But look at, I think that's totally.
Then talk to your consulting friends and stop telling them that 33% of our hygiene production should be perio,
Right.
and make it that
Start looking at the
33% of our hygiene coding should be perio.
Yeah.
And you'll find more dentists on
I
board.
think that's what it is. It's
Okay.
the semantics of the whole conversation. But I think that's great. And I think you would find a lot of hygienists that would like
And I also don't believe that hygiene should represent 25 to 30% of the office production. I
But
think should
because you're
only
looking at other
I think the office should be doing unbelievable procedures where hygiene represents 15%. Like in my practice, it's 15 to 17%.
well,
But that's because the ceiling is higher and you have higher productive, like higher valued items at the top.
Yeah.
Not because you're doing less procedures in hygiene. You're still doing the same number of hygiene procedures.
Well, we're doing
You
less
have
hygiene
more.
than most practices.
Hey, so let me ask you.
We have a smaller patient base than most practices.
Interesting.
We
Because
have
you're seeing
2,100
it's more
active
like
patients.
quality than quantity with you guys.
I don't. What does quality mean? What does this word quality mean? Like I have good patients?
No,
like, who
meaning
has shitty patients?
meaning that you are delivering other things outside of the basic.
We have
basic,
diversity
Yes.
of procedures in
Yes.
our practice.
which makes a patient healthier. So you're handling the quality of care is looking at the person as a whole and not just filling by filling by filling.
If I could get the hygienists and tell them to take the RDH off of the degree and put Sleep Champion after the degree, hygienists would rock it. Would rock it.
Yeah.
Okay. Would unbelievably rock it because they are uniquely qualified to be able to really have the education to talk to patients about this, to have the rapport with patients, to be able to take impressions, to take bites, to be able to, they can own it. I mean, they can run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, airway is that one thing that hygienists should absolutely own.
Yeah.
And then those that take it to another level, they can get the myofunctional therapy training. They can get there's,
It's endless. And I think that's
and then, the next question is they should be running the Healthy Start or the MyoBrace portion of why are hygienists, see, to me, why are we so focused on perio? Like that's the end all be all of how we measure a great hygienist when to me, it shouldn't be that. It's, are you doing sleep? Are you doing MyoBrace, Healthy Start? Are you doing early intervention, airway therapy, and all of these things? And that is in the hygienist wheelhouse.
I don't think we would argue that point.
No, you
Well,
guys.
no, but 40 years of lecture circuits of saying,
Yes.
this is what you should have,
Yeah.
perio. This is all you can do for perio. I mean, I get it. I
And
get
then
why we're so
my problem is
brainwashed.
most hygienists don't want to work with me because they've heard that it's a more difficult place to work. And it's more difficult because we have expectations.
But yeah, and I love that.
Yeah.
But I have that reputation too, as far as like being the lead of all my hygienists. Like when you first come into practice, people hate me, and that's okay. I'm teaching and training you, and you feel uncomfortable because you don't know.
Yeah.
And no one likes to be told that they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but
No.
we miss out on people even entertaining the idea of coming to the office because of what they've heard about me, which is
Because of
which
your
is
reputation.
My reputation, right? Is that I have a reputation. I burn through people. You're right. I don't burn through good people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't burn through great people. I burn through mediocre and good people because good is not good. Good is like baseline for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just my
Quality is
personality.
everything.
Yeah. And I think where the pushback, and I'm just postulating, I don't know if it's true or not, but I think where I have had pushback with dentists that I guess are saying, just don't worry about the perio. I'm like, but they got perio. Like, I'll talk about airway, but but it sounds like you're not micromanaging that. Like, if I need to treat their perio, I need to teach them how to properly clean between their teeth, all that jazz.
I don't run reports on how many perio you do.
Then that sounds
It's like
ideal
you're
for
unleashing
me.
your hygienist to do everything.
Yeah.
Within the scope of the practice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
big
I
picture.
think sounds great.
Big picture. See, like whenever one of my team members comes and asks me a question of how they should handle this, my immediate answer to them is, "What would you do if that was you in the chair?"
Yeah.
And just do that.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Then just do that.
Just to do that.
Just
do the
that.
thing that would happen to you.
Yeah. If that were you, and then like some people come to me and it's like, "Well, the patient doesn't have the money for this." I'm like, "What would you do?"
Yeah.
Like, just do it. Stop asking me questions. You
So
know?
I work right now in volunteering in an outreach program where it's free. And I kind of have full ability. Like I come in and I'm like, I got this cool new glycine air polish. They're like, we don't care. Do what you need to do to make them healthy.
Yeah.
And they love that I'm talking about airway. They feel so excited that I'm giving this elite service to a group of people where they only see volunteer dentists that are just there to polish or fill or do a root canal really fast, extract teeth constantly. They love that. So I'm kind of in that environment and I feel like I am soaring when I'm there versus where I was micromanaged to
Look,
no
we're
end.
all going to be managed to a certain
Right.
degree, right? Because we run a business. At the end of the day, I run a business, right? But listen, if the patients are taken care of, if you have a great attitude and our overall practice is doing great and you're a part of that, do what you want.
Do you take your team to get educated, or do you just go do these courses yourself and they go do their courses themselves?
No. Well, we do so much education through 3D dentists at our office.
Okay.
So we have our own training center. So that's a little bit. And then what I've been doing lately is I've been bringing the CE to us. So I'll hire the speaker to come in.
Yeah.
And just because
that is not the norm at all.
Yeah.
So I guess what is the advice you give to other dentists that don't have the awesome setup that you have?
Right.
Oh, they all have the awesome setup I do. Just go to the public library and use it.
I mean, I guess.
I just these are excuses to me.
I mean, I guess I just keep feeling like, you're bringing in speakers. That's some money. Like that's
sure. But what does it cost me to go somewhere?
I guess that's true.
It's so true. Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? It costs me more.
That didn't flip in my brain just now.
And the team.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And on top of that, how many times? And listen, I have a business that provides education, so I'm unselling to a certain degree what we do, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, how many times have you gone to a seminar and the stuff that they're tailoring it to the bottom rung of the people in the room at the end of the day, right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, dude, I'm past that shit.
Right.
Okay, let's bring you to me and let's start here and let's go what we need. So, but we're at that position. And yes, we have the infrastructure. My argument is everybody has there's a Holiday Inn. We own Holiday Inn. There's a Holiday Inn in every city. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a Holiday Inn in every city that you can rent the room.
Right.
And if you can't afford the room, go to the public library, and for $50 they'll let you use their room.
Yeah.
Or worst case scenario, go to the unfinished basement in your house. So there's always a way if you want to get it.
Truly.
Okay?
Yeah.
But even on the education side with my practice, I tell team members, just bring me your plan for the year, what you want to do. And if it fits within our goal for the year, we'll make it happen. So education is a non-issue to a certain degree in our practice.
That's nice. So it seems, I know we were all set up for like an argument, right? But I think
it's a
we're all
discussion.
wanting the same
It's a
thing,
discussion.
right?
But
it's just how we're saying it.
Right, but see that, and therein lies the challenge. Is you guys hear one thing
Yeah.
because our side of the story tells it one way.
Right.
We hear one thing because your side of the story tells it another way.
Right,
And
right.
ultimately, what has to happen is we have to get together because we can change. We can embark unbelievable change. And the fact is if we don't embark that change, corporate will create the change that they want. Okay, and by the way, corporate wants more hygienists doing fillings.
Absolutely.
They want you prepping. Okay, they want you doing all those things, and that's fine. If that's where the profession goes, I'm convinced I'll find a way to figure it out. And so.
But at a certain point, that's also kind of small-minded when you are now saying, look, perio is just this little bit. Really, restorative hygiene is just this little bit too of the bigger thing anyway.
Right.
So that is just one small little quick avenue. And then let's get back on track for.
I think it would be a small win for you guys and a setback, in my opinion, because it would stop the movement of how great hygienists can be in practices.
And I think like the little wins of changing scope of practice and legislation and things like that, because I would love to be a hygienist in your office, but also maybe one day a week I go to the nursing home
Go to the free clinic. Do what you want.
diagnose airway issues there with these patients that are like,
and if we take Medicare, great.
right? Or even a lot of those patients could be self-pay because they're in the more elite types of nursing homes. But it would be nice to change that scope of practice so that we weren't so like finger on top of our profession.
So to button it up on my end, and I'll keep going as long as you guys want. But from my end, this whole concept or philosophy that I have, the way of thinking I have, stems from, in our market, a hygienist has a ceiling of how much they can make.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And if they achieve that ceiling 5 years out of school, I'm not going to keep somebody another 10, 15, 20 years and have them make the same amount of money.
Right.
Okay. So for me, I have to create avenues for them to earn the practice more so that they can earn more themselves. That's where this came about for me. So I looked at Megan and I said, listen, at some point you're going to reach your ceiling. You're not there yet.
Right.
But why don't we take a step back and look at where you can create an unlimited.
And she was super open to it.
There was fear. I'm a hygienist. I'm a hygienist. I mean, I got to scale, right? So there's that fear there. So so she still does hygiene 2 days a week because there are patients that only want to see her.
Yeah.
And her mandate now is to figure out a way to introduce those patients to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then the sky's the limit.
Right.
Right. And I'm upfront with people. I say, listen, you can make the same amount of money and work less days, just produce the same.
So he comes in saying that he wants to have a big old argument, and then we find out he's such a big softie. He's like, I'm just really invested in my people that they're great.
For the hygienist.
We create a good culture in our practice.
Yeah.
But it's a highly accountable culture. And,
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think that that's how you progress. That's how you move. Accountability for everybody. I just was at a 3-day infection control course, and the whole thing was holding each other accountable.
Do a lot of dentists listen to this?
I don't know.
No.
No.
We'll put your name on it, and we'll see.
well,
We'll put Aaron's name on it, too. So it's like, everyone will watch it then. Or
But to me, the question is I would ask dentists is how many dentists know every team member's husband, wife, kids' names and where they are in their season of life and what's going on?
I don't know.
And see, I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important for me to know that because that's how you create culture. Is little things like knowing John's name and knowing that your wedding's in September, or knowing this is going on, and knowing that, hey, you got to extra. Like I don't like my team members working extra jobs. I really don't. So to me, I take that as a failure on myself.
Right.
That I haven't created the environment so that you don't need to work that extra job. So
this actually turned out to be not so bad.
I'm not a bad person. Despite what I let people
random things, and it comes across you being a dick.
But I do that on purpose.
So you bring it on yourself.
Why do you have to say I say? Why? Let me come back to you and say this. Why do you hear things the wrong way and think I'm a dick? Okay,
it's all about the reception.
Oh yeah,
it's your perception, which is your reality.
You know,
it's true.
His goal is not to be a jerk, but it's to cause disruption.
Yeah,
and that's the word. I think that's perfect.
That's a good
because
one.
The truth is, if I got up there and was very lame and very vanilla, would you want to talk to me today?
Wouldn't be a challenge,
right? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So, but now that we say things controversial, Alan called me bombastic. Right?
Nice.
So, you do those things, but they all come from a place of good heart and really wanting great things for people.
Right.
Great things for people.
So I say a lot of things that challenge people, and it's very blunt, and I've gotten in trouble.
And they don't call you a dick, they called you a B.
Exactly. Oh, for sure.
On the regular.
On the regular. He says I'm pitchy, and I was like, are you saying that with a P or a B? Which one is it? But I do the same thing, and I'm having to learn how to deliver my message, especially on social media, where maybe
the context is not there.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is a struggle of my own as well in dentistry, especially amongst hygienists, when I say things like, I could teach us, and I teach dental hygienists, so I'm like, I could teach us a monkey to scale teeth. Like,
so what's your stick? What do you do?
As far as a hygienist?
Sure. Outside of scaling teeth, what do you do?
So my full-time job is with Tepe.
The
interdental brush company and toothbrush company, the Swedish company. I
don't even know what toothpaste I use.
Yeah, that's most dentists. Yeah. So I am Tepe, Tepe, Tepe.
Tepe, like Tepe. American Indians, Tepe.
Yeah, but it's Swedish, so it said Tepe is how the Swedish way to say it.
So what do you do with them?
I do their education for North America. So I teach hygienists that what they provide to in that goodie bag. If you took the time to do the good work, you need to make sure that they have something in that interim to manage it well. And it's not just them winging it at the pharmacy aisle anymore. Like
we give them a toothpaste from Colgate or something, I think.
See, and that's the kind of culture, like, even though that might seem very like the minutia of the day, I think if you give them the right tools in their hands.
I let them order it. I don't care.
So I'm trying to teach hygienists, like, it's not just about like,
what are you, $1.50 per patient?
Here's this. And then you just
what are you, $1.50 per patient?
Probably. Yeah. But it's mostly interdentals, like cleaning between your teeth. Like, let's, for the love of God, stop saying flossing to everybody. Nobody wants to do it.
I tell them all to buy a shower floss.
Yeah. Or that, like, whatever that looks like for your patients, get it. But so that's my full-time job. And then I do see patients 1 day a week, and I teach in a hygiene program.
And Andrew, what's your stick?
I'm full-time clinical. That's what I do.
And you own or you don't own?
I don't own.
Okay.
No, yeah, that's not. I'm not actually even.
I think that's bad for hygienists, by the way.
To what?
Own?
Yeah, I think the concept, I think it's the wrong battle.
I think you're saying a lot of things that actually make a lot of sense, but in the bigger picture, so like I was on our state board, and I've been to all these, the AADBs. I've had these conversations with, these high-powered people,
old people,
and they don't want what you're saying. Yeah. They're really like, I would love to be able to just be me. Maybe go into, sleep or myofunctional therapy or do whatever, which already is in my scope of practice. And I don't care about owning. I don't think that I think you're right too. I think that that's a battle that yeah, if we win, it's going to be a small win, but it's going to be a step back also.
It's going to be a setback for you guys.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, it's like, well, we can't even do the other stuff because they're so like, I'm not going to do sleep. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to focus on that. I want you to be in that one little scaling pigeonhole, and that's all they want to put us in. And so because of that, we're trying to break out and do all of our own things so we have more freedom. So if we had more people like you, I guess, at least in my
They
state.
couldn't handle me on state boards.
No, they can't.
But I would love
you'd be
that
bombastic.
challenge. Bombastic.
I volunteered once to help with like the missions of mercy for the state, and like I didn't get a call back after the first meeting.
That's funny.
I'm like, they're like, we spend a lot of time raising $50,000. I'm like, all right, I'll pick up the phone. I'll make it happen like in 10 minutes. What's next?
Yeah.
Move on.
Let's go. Money should never be the problem in the United States of America.
So true. That's
I
so
mean,
true.
are you freaking
Right.
kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Get out of the way.
Hey, so if people want to learn more from you, how do they find that?
Well, so your audience is hygienists, so I don't have anything directly for them, and at this point,
But they can learn airway from you.
yes, absolutely, they can learn airway from me and Aaron. So we're 3D Dentist, 3D-dentist.com. My podcast is T-Bone Speaks. It's on a little bit of a hiatus. It's coming back mid-February-ish, and then I'm all over social media,
Yeah.
and I am a grizzly bear on the outside, teddy
Oh,
bear.
softy.
Not even a teddy bear. I'm like a panda bear on
Aw,
the inside. Okay?
Aren't those
Maybe
actually
I'm a-
really super mean?
Maybe a koala bear. I don't know the difference, to be quite honest with you.
It's chlamydia. That's what he's saying.
Chlamydia.
That's what koala bears have.
Gonorrhea? I mean, I don't want that either. I don't want no
Like
gonorrhea.
85% of koalas have chlamydia.
Oh, my God.
I actually want to circle back to why you know that.
Because
but
we've been
we'll talk.
okay. We'll circle back to that later. But we're going to Australia, and we're going to bring koala bears there, and the kids are going to want to hold them.
And you had to learn that they all have chlamydia.
I went
didn't research. It just came out.
I decided I want to talk to hygienists. I got invited to speak to one of the neighboring counties' hygiene society, and I came in with one slide. and I alienated.
Name up there.
No. I alienated
flashing
half the room. Hated me.
Nice.
Hated me. And then the other half was probably like, yeah, okay, but that's never going to happen in my practice. And so
okay.
Wait, what was the slide?
Yeah, what was
no,
this?
I probably said, make yourself indispensable.
Oh,
And then, I said, or, and then I just talked for an hour on what where I see
Yeah.
the role of a hygienist. And I always start by like, what do you think your guys' role in the practice will be? Our job is to educate. I'm like, oh God, like that is like,
So this, and we can be done since we've done it. But my thought is, so I have through the years, I like I said, been pretty blunt, very disruptive. People have gotten a little pissy with me about things because of my message and how I deliver it. So if your message is really one of something I think a hygienist would appreciate, do you think the way you deliver it will ever change?
it'll evolve. Yeah.
Because I'm learning how to change my
message has
delivery.
evolved massively already.
Okay.
Like this is good.
Right.
compared to what I used to
Right.
do.
this is toned down.
But as a business person, my main message is to dentists.
Yeah.
Okay, and I need to disrupt them more because here's how I'll help the hygiene profession is if I can disrupt the dentist,
Oh, I agree.
then
I think that would be great.
It'll disrupt the hygienist.
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, even if I disrupt hygienists, most of them, 99% of them, aren't in a position to actually do anything about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's so true.
Whether it's financially, whether it's socioeconomically, whether it's, at the end of the day, 99% of or 99.9% of our employees of somebody else. So they're
Yeah.
not in a position to make the change.
Right. No, and I think that would be appreciated. Disrupt them.
I want
Go
to.
get on North Carolina State Board
I
for the
would.
love.
I don't
Help
think I
them.
could do it.
Help them.
I don't think I could do it.
Kick the white old men out.
That'd be the
and-
funnest board meeting.
Oh my God, I would seriously
Fly on the
come.
wall in
I would
there.
drive from Charleston
Yeah, you should.
and go
It'd be
sit
fun.
on that board.
It would be so much fun,
I
right?
would just be like,
And sometimes I don't say anything, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to pick and choose your times for your battle.
which is where that's something
Yeah.
I've worked
So
on.
I've gotten a lot better with that.
Mm-hmm.
So my message here is much, much less subdued than if I'm going to speak at a state society
Right,
meeting. Okay?
right.
Because like average age dead, and
It's true though.
I spoke at a neighboring so my oral surgeon friend invited me to speak at the Alamance County dentist study
Average
club or
age
whatever.
is dead.
And I walked in there and I said, and I did this purposely. I said, here's the challenge. You guys all think it's great to have a practice. I think it's dumb to have a practice. You need to have a business. And let me tell you why. And then the endodontist got in the room and said, GP should not be doing endo. I said, you're the problem. Like that mentality is the problem, and I wasn't invited back.
Surprise, surprise.
I know.
But that's okay.
We don't like people that challenge.
Listen, and back to my point. I think having dentists see more than one hygienist at a time is ultimately a disservice to to a great business model of dentistry. And so we're a PPO practice, and we have one chair per dentist, one chair per hygienist, and we have one hygienist per doctor in the practice. And the truth is we're going to balance out at 1.5 hygienists per doctor is where the number will balance out to be. So we'll end up being three hygienists for 2 doctors is where we'll find the right balance. And quite frankly, the only reason that is my diagnosis and communication skills are significantly far above my junior partner's diagnosis and communication skills. So I could totally run my practice with one hygienist and produce the same numbers.
Yeah.
In fact, I would argue that most dentists will produce better numbers with one hygienist than they will with two hygienists. I'm talking about their own column.
Yeah.
Because and as long as but the makeup to that is you got to give every patient the chance to say yes to the best. You got to have diverse products on the shelf for those patients to say yes to.
Yeah. I agree.
It.
Yeah.
It's been a good one.
This has been.
Tarun, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well, I wonder how many people were worked up in the beginning and then kind of settled into it, which is kind of what we were doing in person.
For sure. Well, because that's what he said when he came up to us. He's like, hey, I want to argue with you guys on your podcast.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of, okay, we'll throw down with you. Let's see what you got.
And he ended up being such a teddy bear, and he really does appreciate hygienists. And, it's all about having that conversation, right? So I'm so glad that we did have it, though. I really appreciate him coming up and wanting to be on the podcast and having that discussion with us.
Yeah. Thank you.
So if you guys have any questions, thoughts, comments, you can always send us a message at atalo2hygienists@gmail.com. Head over to our website, atalo2hygienists.com, and sign up for our newsletter. You can also listen to episodes there. And you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Share your favorite episodes. That is how people find the podcast and figure out what a podcast is. But I think we are progressing into a time where podcasts are the thing. Wasn't that what that article said? Like 1 out of 4 people are listening to podcasts?
It says more than 50% of the population has now heard a podcast sometime in their life, which is up about 6%.
So if you enjoyed an episode, like Christy was saying, she really loved 157 and 158, then tell your friends, share it, send it in a post on Facebook, whatever that looks like for you guys, because we really appreciate spreading the word. And anything else, Andrew?
Honestly, just thank you so much for reaching out and just giving us words of encouragement. I don't think you guys realize the impact that it has on us to kind of keep us going. So thank you so very much for reaching out. And that's pretty much it for me. I hope everyone has a great week.
Yeah. Have a great week, y'all.
Bye.
Bye now.